Someone recently asked me to review an article by Barry Overeem. It's titled The Lazy Facilitator. I thought this was interesting. And it starts out right out of the gate. You're such a relaxed, laid back, and maybe even lazy facilitator. I received this feedback during a Liberating Structures workshop. It was meant as a compliment, though the lazy part needed some clarification. I do take it as a compliment. If you're the busiest person in a room as a facilitator, that usually means something's probably not quite right. And I get where they're coming from. I remember back, 2005 timeframe, when I really considered myself an expert facilitator and, was doing it more often than I am now, but I still facilitate quite a bit now. I was always the busiest person in a room. I ran around clarifying instructions, answering questions, prepping for following steps, taking notes, doing whatever I needed to do to help teams be successful, running for donuts, whatever I needed to do to make things work. And many times we didn't achieve our purpose. But man, I got tons of compliments for working so hard. Like somehow that made up for us not reaching our end goal. I resemble that. I remember I used to always want to be the hardest working person in show business, but then I'd always get upset when a team didn't achieve their goals. And when they didn't achieve their purpose, I didn't want the compliments. In hindsight, the problem was me. I was so busy micromanaging that I lost sight of a bigger picture. These days, especially as I'm training and teaching in Fortune 50 companies, Fortune 100 companies, I find myself mostly managing the structure, thinking of it as setting the boundaries for self-organization. The structure's there, but participants hardly notice it. That's what I call lightweight facilitation. It creates space for meaningful conversations without getting in the way. I really enjoy working within those boundaries. Too much structure is suffocating, and too little becomes too chaotic. Finding the right balance is tricky, but it's so rewarding when you get it right. It's perfect. So let's take a step back for a moment and start paying attention to things that really matter. So let's get a short list together. What are some things that really matter in this case? I would say the number one thing is probably look out for the group's energy level, right? If you see the energy level waning, you probably need to make adjustments. If the energy level's through the roof, you also probably need to make adjustments. This is that Goldilocks thing where you want it just right. How about another one? Well, I'll tell you when it frustrates me when I'm having these conversations with my spouse, the temperature in a room. And I don't mean temperature as far as volume or temperature as far as heat. I mean the literal temperature in a room. If a room's too hot, people will become lethargic and a little bit lazy. If it's too cold, people are going to become lethargic and a little too lazy. You need to keep that temperature in a room at a comfortable temperature where everybody loves to work. Okay, here's another. If we're taking a step back, we should be paying attention to things like who's stuck? Is there someone that needs support? And even better, who's thriving? Let's give them some kudos. Let's recognize that person who's pounding it, right? And I think that's something that we forget to do. Sometimes we remember to talk about the bad things, but we never remember to talk about the kudos. And whether we need to speed up or slow down is another one we can look at. So like if the team is operating at breakneck pace, is it time for us to slow down a little bit and take a breath? If they're operating really slow and careful and methodical, do we need to speed up a little bit to make sure we make it to market? Or what about finally, is the group still on track to reach their goal? Because one of the things I found is if you give the group an opportunity to create their own goal, what will happen is they will try their best to manage their goal. And it's usually better and easier to get them to manage their goal than to try to set a false goal outside for them to manage. I remember, so I'm going back now, recollecting. I wasn't always aware of these things when I was incredibly busy, but now that I'm less busy, I'm usually thoughtfully aware of these things. I think the thing that held me back, so I'm going to get personal for a second, is that I always used to get upset if people didn't notice all the hard work and the things that I was doing. But now I realize that it's okay if people don't notice. I almost like being invisible and watching people do great work. That's what I love about facilitation. You can lift people up and bring them to where they need to be. So next time you find yourself the busiest person in the room, you might want to stop and pause, reflect, ask yourself, am I helping a group succeed or am I just working hard spinning my wheels? You might be surprised what happens when you do a little less. So I think it's time for you to stop, collaborate, and listen. Oh wait, that's a Vanilla Ice quote. I do think it's time for you to stop and meditate and thrive. Find ways that you can be the best that you could be so everyone else can be the best that they could be. That's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have a question or a topic or something you want to talk about, feel free to reach out to us. Learn more at AgileDad.com. We'd love to hear from you. And as always, we encourage you to stay healthy, stay well, and stay agile, my friends. Until next time, do take care. Bye now.